Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're taking a deep dive into what might look like a standard, highly technical 4-week lab report, but we're going to transform it into a high-stakes, practical operation. We aren't just reading about cybersecurity today, we're dissecting a real mission to secure a deliberately vulnerable digital fortress. Imagine being handed the keys to a network that is practically begging to be hacked, and you're told, fix it, before the attackers get in. That is exactly the scenario we're breaking down right now.
So what happens when you intentionally build a network filled with literally the worst security flaws, and then try to defend it? Setting up a network is actually the easy part. You plug things in, configure some IP addresses, and you're communicating. But making that network bulletproof, that is a monumental task. As you'll see, an out-of-the-box configuration can be an absolute ticking time bomb.
Okay, let's dive right into this mission briefing. We're going to walk through 5 exact phases of a cyber defense lifecycle: the digital battleground, scouting the terrain, diagnosing threats, sealing the cracks, and finally, the ultimate stress test.
Kicking things off with Phase 1, the digital battleground: setup and architecture.
To pull this off safely in an isolated digital playground, the workload was divided among a 5-person cyber bastion squad. You've got the architect who built the lab, the recon specialist mapping out the network, the intel officer assessing vulnerabilities, the combat engineer fixing them, and the tactical auditor testing it all. Now, for this explainer, we're primarily viewing the mission through the lens of person number 4, the combat engineer. We're doing the actual mitigation.
Check out the blueprint of our digital playground here. On the left, we have our attacker machine running Kali Linux, and on the right, our targets, a Windows 10 client and our primary defense target, Metasploitable 2. If you're familiar with it, you know Metasploitable 2 is a Linux machine built from the ground up to be an absolute security nightmare. And since all of these machines are connected on a shared, host-only NAT network, they can talk to each other directly.
Moving right along to Phase 2, scouting the enemy terrain, the reconnaissance phase.
Before we can defend anything, we have to see exactly what a hacker sees, right? Our recon specialist fired off a basic Nmap ping to the target and got 0% packet loss. So the host is definitely alive, communicating perfectly with lightning-fast latency. But when they ran a full TCP scan checking all 65,535 ports, well, the results were terrifying. Nmap revealed a massive attack surface, 23 open ports. That's 23 different doors left wide open, exposing everything from outdated web servers to completely unencrypted legacy protocols like Telnet. Yikes!
That brings us to Phase 3, diagnosing critical threats, the vulnerability assessment.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer volume of danger we're looking at. Knowing a door is open just isn't enough. We have to know how easily someone can kick it down. By deploying a heavy-duty vulnerability scanner called Nessus, alongside some targeted Nmap scripts, the intel officer uncovered a terrifying mess. Look at this: 5 critical threats, 2 high threats, and 3 medium threats. In the real world, honestly, just a single critical threat can bring a company to its knees. Here, we've got 5 of them screaming for attention at the exact same time.
Let's zoom in on one of those criticals. Nmap confirmed the presence of the infamous VSFTP 2.3.4 backdoor hanging out on port 21. And get this, it's not a simple coding mistake. Back in 2011, an attacker actually compromised the download servers for this software and planted a hidden malicious backdoor directly into the source code itself. An attacker needs absolutely 0 credentials to trigger this thing. They just knock on the port and boom, they are instantly granted a root-level command shell.
And, of course, the bad news doesn't stop there. Nessus flagged a CVSS 10.0 vulnerability on the VNC server. For context, 10.0 is literally the highest possible severity score you can get. VNC is a virtual network computing console that gives you remote graphical control of the desktop. The vulnerability? It was set up using the exact default password, which was literally just the word password. Any novice attacker could just brute force their way in and get full graphical screen access. They'd basically be sitting right in front of the machine.
So the crucial point is really captured in this security quote regarding a bind shell backdoor we found listening on port 1524. A bind shell means a command line interface is already open, actively listening for any incoming connection, no username or password required. As you can see, it allows absolute control over the target. An attacker clicks connect, and they instantly have full administrator privileges. Total 100% compromise.
All right, time to fix this mess. Phase 4, sealing the cracks, hardening, and mitigation.
The intel officer's report is obviously terrifying, but now we step into our main role as the combat engineer to execute some rapid-fire mitigations. First up, Update those outdated packages and services. Next, we enforce complex passwords, instantly changing that ridiculous VNC password default to a strong random string. But more importantly, we hunt down those backdoors. We comment out the ingress lock listener entry in the configuration files, use the kill command to terminate the malicious bind shell processes, and bundle the whole shebang into a single automated shell script called harden.sh for immediate deployment.
Let's move to the network layer and see how this builds out. To create a really comprehensive defense, we deployed local host-based firewall configurations using iptables. We didn't just stop at killing bad processes, we fundamentally restricted network traffic. SSH management access and Samba file sharing, those are now strictly filtered, allowed only from the administrative subnet. And those highly vulnerable, unencrypted protocols like Telnet were completely disabled and closed off.
Finally, we arrive at Phase 5, the ultimate stress test, verification and the payoff. Because in cybersecurity, you never just assume you're safe, right? You have to prove it. So our tactical auditor used Metasploit to try and hack back into our newly hardened fortress. And this brilliantly illustrates the payoff. Look at the pre versus post-hardening comparison here. Those 5 critical vulnerabilities dropped straight to 0. The 2 high vulnerabilities, 0. The mediums, completely gone. We achieved 100% mitigation efficacy across the board. The backdoors were terminated, weak credentials were secured, and the attack surface was massively reduced.
Bringing it all together into the final hardening and mitigation report, we're looking at an overall post-remediation risk score of exactly 0.0. An incredible success. As a quick side note, the team actually scanned the Windows 10 machine on the network too, and it was completely secure out of the box with 0 actionable vulnerabilities. But our Metasploitable target? That required total, uncompromising remediation to pull it back from the brink of absolute disaster.
So the combat engineer's job was a resounding success here, but it does leave us with a pretty lingering thought. I mean, this was a simulated network intentionally designed to be flawed, yet misconfigurations like default passwords, outdated protocols, and unmonitored open ports, those happen in real corporate networks every single day. So if a simulated network can have a backdoor left wide open, what's listening on your ports right now? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep your network secure.